Welcome to Kill Team Public Radio, your source for Northeast Kill Team content. We're broadcasting from the trenches, doing the grim work to bring you the latest Kill Team news and sharpest tactics. Tune in as we connect with players across New England and beyond, building community and pushing strategy in the 41st millennium. Welcome to Kill Team Public Radio. This is Kurt reporting from the trenches. We are bringing you episode 3, the Standish Standoff that occurred a couple weeks ago, November 22nd, in Portland. This tournament featured 6 teams from across the New England area who all came together to compete and prove their mettle as the dominant team in New England. During some of our other recording, Milton and I had a quick discussion about the Vermont team strategy, Standish Standoff. Here, have a listen to what he had to say. Welcome to Kill Team Public Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Kurt, and I'm joined here by
Milton Weatherhead, your other host.
And he's just back from Worlds, which is quite exciting, and we'll get to that later in the program. But he's just going to give us a peek at what they've been thinking for Team Vermont and the team tournament coming up. So I'm curious, have you been doing deep dives on the statistics? Are you thinking sword and shield? How are you trying to compose your tactics there?
So we kind of decided on what we wanted to run as soon as the event was as soon as the event posting went up, basically, because we knew it was going to be Phil, Will Abston, and myself, and all three of us are pretty big proponents of like play what you know. Metagame is real, sure, but if you aren't as practiced with a team, you, over the course of an event, will almost certainly run into situations that you're not prepared for, and you will play wrong. So we're playing things that we're pretty comfortable with. I'm going to be playing Blades of Cain, because that's the thing that I play most. And Phil is going to be playing Sanctifiers. He's been doing quite well with them recently. And then Will is, we may be deciding tomorrow, but between either Farstalker Kinband or Felgor Ravagers, both teams that he's done well with in the past. And none of those are Space Marines. None of those are elite teams. But we think that's fine. And we think that the three teams actually have pretty decent spread of matchups. There's not that many things that we really hope we don't run into. And as we were kind of talking through it, because it's a 3-player team format, just because it's defender, attackers, and just kind of the way that it works out, we think we can, generally speaking, get the matchups that we want. So, we did some talking through, if we're playing into these people, what are the teams that they most likely bring? And then, out of those matchups, are there any particular matchups we really want to avoid, or any that we really want to take? And then just kind of planning out, if we're attacker or defender, for the first pairing, who should we put up to get the ones that we want? So it's fun kind of thinking through that sort of thing. I'm sure some of it'll probably fall apart in practice, but I went over to Phil's place and we played a game just to kind of work on a matchup before Worlds, and then spent another 2.5 hours talking about matchups for the team tournament, just because it was fun.
I mean, that game theory is a lot of fun. Are there any specific matchups with Blades of Cain you do not want to see?
Probably not in this tournament, to be honest. I think that what tends to be the toughest matchups are some of the more mid-rangey teams. And those are things that generally Sanctifiers and Kroot do well into. So, so they kind of cover my weak points there. But New England tends to have a pretty elites-heavy metagame. And I feel like Blades of Cain are pretty strong into elites, just because Ceaseless Shuriken pretty reliably chunks down Space Marines. You won't get them in one hit, but 2 or 3 and they're out of here.
A week before the tournament, I was able to catch up with Thom and Ethan from the Connecticut team. They explained some of their thoughts, strategy, and their prediction for the tournament itself. Greetings, everyone. This is Kurt from KTPR, reporting from the trenches. This evening, I have two of the team members from Connecticut's Team Tournament playing later this month in November. And if you would, please go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
Sure. I'm Ethan, based in Connecticut. I'm usually playing at the Battle Standard up in Windsor or at Tabletop Center in Newington.
Hi, my name is Thom. I'm playing mostly at the Battle Standard as well in Connecticut. Sometimes I play at Lotus games as well.
Awesome. And I've seen you both down at the Battle Standard, and I appreciate our games that I've played with both of you. Thank you. So I just have a couple questions. We're looking at the team tournament at the end of this month, and the first one is pretty simple. What teams are you going to bring to the team tournament, and have you done any specific game planning about how to deploy or strategize with your team?
So I'm bringing the Goremongers to the tournament. And why don't you mention your team, and then we can kind of talk about what we've been kicking around for thoughts, plans, maybe back and forth.
Sure. Yeah. No. I'm going to be bringing Aquilons, and then our teammate is bringing Blades of Cain.
That's a pretty good rounded
and
team.
To kind of further expand on your question, Kurt, we definitely going through different scenarios of what opponents might bring, different matchups that we might want to deal with, if we can force certain matchups. Thankfully, we have a pretty versatile team as a whole. Between those three factions, it covers a lot of ground, and it leaves pretty much no room for a major weakness in team as a whole. Like, all three teams would be necessarily. So thankfully, we're in a good spot with that. Say that we're necessarily favorites or anything. Doubt anyone think that, but I think we've got a very, very good chance with quite a strong team whole.
Ethan, did you want to just add anything else to that?
We honestly didn't even really discuss it a whole lot. It just kind of those happen to be the teams that we all main, and we happen to I think it really helps. Having Blades of Cain on the team really helps, because they can just be anything, and so any weakness that like Goremongers or Aquilons could have can kind of be filled by Blades of Cain. So.
And are you thinking about specific, like a matchup strategy of what teams each of you can take on comfortably, or are you thinking more of shield and sword? Some teams like Goremongers can charge and score a lot of points, and maybe the Blades of Cains or Aquilon can mitigate or deny, more of like a shield team.
I think the majority of what we were talking about, over the past couple weeks here, just been simply looking at what matchups that different teams would be best at, and what teams we want each one of our factions to necessarily avoid. I'll give one last week. Just Ethan and I did a couple play test games last into Plague Marine, which was probably like the worst option for Goremongers to run into. And yeah, I'll admit, it felt like wading through wet cement.
But we quickly realized, even in inexperienced hands, they were difficult for Goremongers just because of how they interact. But kind of on that point, like, Plague Marines have no chance against Aquilons, just with all the piercing, with all the movement. There's just it's not like, every time I played Plague Marines, it's not really been a fair contest. On the other hand, Blades of Cain, I just struggle with so much, because they can kind of outshoot me. They can definitely outfight me. They definitely outrange me, out APL me. I don't know, but I think Thom with Goremongers stands a much better chance than I do against them.
It also doesn't help that you have one of the top, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 Blades of Cain players, I'd say, in the country, if not in our region for sure. Like, Callum's a really good player, and he's the only person we play against Blades of Cain all the time. Thom, are there any specific matchups you're worried about with the Goremongers other than the Plague Marines, or is that sort of the one that you're like, ooh, that's bad, and we'll just avoid that one?
So definitely Plague Marines, just in the sense I know how the breakpoints function bad for me. That I've heard Sanctifiers are a tough matchup, but hard to say because I haven't run into a ton with any players in New England. I only know of a couple, and so I played them with Legionary, and I did very. But again, a distinct lack with the lack of ability to shoot long distance with the Goremongers that I think would make that matchup difficult.
I believe selecting the map is going to be a part of the initial roll-off for mission and map. Have you given any thought to which teams have advantage on different kill zones, and of course, any kill zones to avoid?
I mean, like, yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if it's Beta Decima, it's no question we send me. Unless it's a really bad matchup, like, I don't have to bring ladders on Beta Decima with Aquilons. I usually do because, like, it can be helpful, but not just, like, the drop in, but, like, ignoring drop distance. Like, once I get my units on top of the middle point, they can go anywhere. Like, just the range that I have compared to other teams is kind of unfair. But on the other hand, like a lot of the benefits of Aquilons get kind of neutralized in Tomb World and Gallowdark. More so to Gallowdark. Tomb World has enough terrain, kind of like terrain here and there, that it's not as bad. But
you have the advantage there with Aquilons dropping in for sure. Do you have any specific training that you've been thinking about, or any like specific things that you've just been running into Callum to do Blades of Cain? Is there any team you feel like you want to specifically practice against?
Funnily enough, I really want to try to play against Goremongers with Aquilons. Don't really know what my strategy would be, just because like I'm a shooting team that going against a team that just ignores damage after 8. But I don't know. It's funny because like I was at New York Open, so I played Deathwatch a good amount, and I played Panoptic Circle a good amount. I feel like I played almost every team that we're going to face, and I know which ones I'm scared of and which ones I'm not, except for Goremongers, which I'm pretty sure I'm scared of, but I need to confirm that.
Yeah, I mean, just from that, Ethan. I mean, we could certainly theory craft that on Thursday if you're to the battle standard. Ones definitely have a hard time in Goremong just because of, like you said, they can get wounded on that first set of character. He's able to charge you and even roll a D3 land that crit. You can one shot any one of your characters. Where they're saving on 5s, almost what you shoot at. Your like rifle guy is going to be pretty much as deadly as your multi-gunner, because I'm going to be saving nothing realistically, or maybe one hit, gonna get your 8 damage regardless.
Oh yeah, almost certainly. Like it's and that's kind of when by playing backwards, it's like I have to kind of like my melting gunner is still useful. Like if I want to, like if your leader was down to like 8 wounds, and like I need to guarantee that like my melt is the one I want to send it, because even if everyone has a good chance, he has the best chance.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. No, I think actually I think my servo sentry, because it's one of my only guys that can shoot twice, could be an MVP with the grenade launcher. My gunfighter, if I boost him to 3 APL, like shoot charge fight, that would be a pretty reliable kill. But just at a certain point, like I only have like 3 operatives that I would feel comfortable like with a shoot charge and fight. I can only do it with one of them per turn. You need to be in a position where I can do that. Like it's doable, and it's funny because like I've been spending a lot of time because of this tournament looking at like just like on pretentious plastic ops, just like various win rates, and Aquilons actually do okay against Goremongers, and I just don't see it.
Tournament. Just one more question, and that is, do you have any specific goal for the team tournament? Do you want to be top 3 for the New England area? Just want to be able to play all your games through? Like, what's your incremental goal for yourselves or the team?
Well, I think we want to win.
I want to shoot to win, and if we, don't do that, I mean, I'll be happy with wherever we land. My goal is to try and win that.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm perfectly happy identifying as the weak link in our team, uh, just relative to like Thom and Callum. So like, you know, I think like even I'm saying we should shoot to win. Now that being said, if we don't, it probably might be my fault. But like, so like my secondary goal is just like kind of continue like playing cleaner and cleaner games, which is something that I've been trying to do. Where it's like don't overextend myself, like which is what I frequently the reason I end up losing is because I overextend myself. But like, um, so like yeah, but like win, and then my secondary objective being like kind of make sure I'm playing clean games and not hurting the team.
This is the first of the new player segments. I've been trying to interview people who have been playing the game less than a year, as these are the people coming into the game and shaping how future play will be. Please have a listen to my first interview. I caught up with one of our new players out of the Connecticut Kill Team scene, and go ahead, please introduce yourself.
Hey, Kurt. My name is Thom, and I've been playing out of the Battle Standard.
I know you're kind of relatively new to the game. When did you start, and do you have a lot of casual or also tournament experience?
So I've been playing since March of this year, and I've played in, probably 6 or 7 tournaments, I think, at this point. Like around there, maybe 6. A really fun time. I also play one night a week at standards. Sometimes I'll play another night during on Tuesdays down in Connecticut as well.
Is there a specific team you've been maining? Have you jumped around some?
So I've only played really 3 teams. Time I've played, I spent doing had a lot of fun, a lot of success with them. I bought, gambled, and really did a lot of fun times. But I have yet to use them in a tournament or for any play. Like they're just missing some things, at least for my style of play. And I switched to Goremonger, which feels like Legionary with which feels
Goremongers just feel right for you. Is that a recent switch? Have you been trying to like power level on the team or learn a lot with it, or have you been playing the Goremongers since the box came out? I think that was what, April or May?
no, I've only switched to them, I would say, maybe in the past months. Uh, really wanted to find a new team that was very melee centric. That's how I used to play the Legionaries. I even kit back them like Corn. Find that aesthetic fun. And now that I'm running the Goremongers, that bill 100%. Like that hero melee. That's almost seems like exactly what the team.
And hey, it's fun. More blood for the blood god, right? Like that's.
Yes.
Do you feel as though there's an aspect of the game that you're relatively good at that you've kind of mastered?
Mastered, I would say no, but I really do enjoy watching how the board between how people will move their figures around, making sure that the positional play favors you, trying to think of where they're trying to go, what they're trying to do, and then engaging to bring traps on them or interrupt their plans. I think is something I am good at. I don't think I've certainly mastered it in the time playing, but I probably one of my better.
Absolutely. You're also really good, I've noticed, just with spacing, like how far are you to charge, how far are they to charge. You're really good at making sure your distances are on point.
Yeah, it's something that I think is a really important piece of the game, especially when you don't have anything but to your team. It's really important to fight on your terms.
Is there any aspect of the game that you think is like eluding you, or you're trying to achieve, you're trying to work up to?
Yeah, I one thing that I see a variety of the other players I play with is their familiarity with a wide range of teams and all the that teams have and all the glitches and things like that. There's seasoned players as a whole in Connecticut. Kurt, you that played longer than I have a decent number of teams out there and their little tricks and things like that. Ran into this with things like where I was playing with Ethan, and he's got a little like dog that when you're attacking the person, the dog can like whip around and fight, and you're all little complexities to the, and you wind up not knowing all of these, and then when you do the announcements like at the beginning of the, as your opponent team, the gotchas and things like that, no one ever fully explains probably everything, because like how can you in that time? Sometimes things come up and people apologize, things like that, and you're just like, hey, it is what it is. My lack of familiarity, I think, come in time and just playing more and more varieties players out there. One of the challenges that I have that in kid is, as much as I do play, and we all kind of sink into our favorite, and I wind up seeing the same shows up week over week over week. So while I'm very familiar with them, there's a lot of teams that are not represented.
Is true. You played me with giant Tyranids, and now you're playing me with Necrons, and you always play Callum with elves. Always.
Yep. And then we've got, a bunch of Death Watch players there now, and then Kevin was representing the Lance time. But yeah, it's there's not too many others out there that I see.
I will say, like, some of the talking heads online will be like, a good piece of advice is play one team for a while and get good at it, and that will, increase your caliber of play and that sort of stuff. So to be fair, the people at the Battle Standard are really taking that advice to heart and really trying to get good at one team, but it does cut down on your field of options and opponents. It's true.
Agreed. I do think that is something that's very important. Something that I with Legionary is going to stick with them for even longer than I did, except I heard from a bunch of people, which I didn't know at the time, that they were getting phased out. So I had my fun with them, and then switching to Goremongers felt like the closest to my play style of that melee. And yeah, I plan to run with them for a long time until I see something else that fits that bill. Only thing that I wish that I could change to the Goremongers is give me one guy. It is one guy that has one ranged weapon I can Overwatch.
Like you need a blood spike, somebody with like a missile launcher that shoots just a giant spike at somebody and does 4-6 or 5-7 damage, 4 dice, just splat. You just need a splat weapon. That's all. Just one of them.
Exactly. Just anything, even just at range, to get that extra pop. Doesn't even have to be that powerful, like a crack rock. Some range to it. Even like two characters that have distance weapons, being the leader and then I forget what he's called specifically, but the guy that basically shoots the grappling hook, the shotgun. They've got some pretty powerful attacks. Again, they're stuck at give one of them that distance, the game would change. Which is, I get why they have the team built around it. But that's what I'm saying is, like, if there is another team that shows up that is able to play that melee game, but has a character that can keep people honest, I'd be interested in. I do like all the nonsense with the blood and all of the abilities. It gives you a lot of versatility, which is a team, which is, I think, kind of like what you and I have talked about. You can have so much moving around, the positional play, and then each has its own set of abilities. So our play style can vary into a lot of different play styles of other opponents.
You do have a lot of flexibility that way, as long as you can reach out and touch them. That is very true. Have there been any specific folks in the battle standard scene or in the general kill team community that have been really supportive of you in your play and that have pushed you to improve?
Honestly, I would say it's everybody there. I can't say enough how nice it is to be part of that community where everyone feels very open, very willing to talk, very willing to be friends. I mean, time when I showed in March, it was my very first tournament. It was my third and fourth game of Kill Team ever, and I remember playing the first game. Uh, then I went upstairs, my girlfriend had, and I think it was Kevin that said like, "Hey Tom, why don't you come?" And everyone was having lunch, and it was really nice, part of that community from day one. And it's really the first time in my life that I've ever seen that type of experience or experienced that type of thing to have happen where community like instantly welcomes you, no nothing else, they're just happy to have you there.
That's really important to have that community, and Chris does a really good job of making it so welcoming for everyone there. Has there been any moment in your journey so far where you had a hobby nightmare or a particularly toxic player that you were opponent against? Other than myself, of course, but that's.
I mean, Kurt, you and I, it's a great story, right? Like we ran into each other in the first tournament, and you had frustration with me being a new player, didn't know my rules that well, was still trying to aim and just play it. And we had some challenges back and a little bit, and then we became good friends, and we're hanging out, talking, we're playing games, theory crafting stuff together of the new teams that come out and matchups and how one team can play tac ops and things like that. I think that's really nice about the community. It gives people an opportunity, something fun and competitive as you want it to be. But also it's a fun time around, chat, drink a beer, de-stress after the week.
Nice. That's well said. Really well said. And again, not a lot of shops allow you to have that beer during your playtime, so we all have to be thankful. Shout out to the Battle Standard. Any specific team you're looking forward to in the next set of boxes? But it also sounds like you're sort of sticking with your Goremonger, so maybe not.
Yeah, I probably am going to stick with my Goremongers. I heard something about Space Wolves maybe playing like Legionary would be kind of cool to have. But at the same time, until I find another team that is in that melee world that I can trust not to get nerfed into the ground and like play pinball with, I'm gonna stick with the Goremongers. That's one of the reasons why I stayed away from two new teams that just came out, which the Canoptic and the Death Watch. I still think that they're probably going to get nerfed. And again, one of the reasons why I kind of like stayed away from the Raveners, I got them and had a fun time making the. Still think they need some. I think that they are the weakest out of the new, like, call it almost like super elite teams, and I think that they're the weakest by a long shot. There's the other two new ones that came out. So I think I'm gonna wait and see comes out. The new team that was like rumored, I don't know their name. Like the new Battle Sisters one does sound fun. I'd be curious to see like what they wind up getting. But like I said, I want to give those teams some time to mature and let the kinks be worked out before I fall in love with a team.
It makes total sense. You're absolutely right. We're not done nerfing the Canoptic. This is the first round, and they're going to get hit again. I just know it because they're going to keep winning, right? Like, I don't know if you guys saw the Can You Roll Crit video where he looked at the statistics, but there's 600 or 400 something games with them, and it's running over 60%. So even idiots like I can pick up the team and win a local tournament, right? Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean they're very powerful. They're very uh breaking different ways, some of their different abilities, which is fantastic. And don't shortcut yourself either. 'Cause you're a good player. That's I think to the same point, it will help a lot of other newer players into the game and have a strong team to lean on, which is, it's a good way for people to get their feet wet. I mean, I unintentionally did that when I started with Legion. They were strong. I don't know what their win rates were or anything. I just had bought, some Corn Berserkers, and so I started playing that. And it was nice to have a team that hit like, dump truck, which might be what Games Workshop is trying to do with bringing in some of these new powerful teams. It might be to try and drum up new players that can be excited, that can still hold ground against seasoned veterans because they've got a strong team to play with.
And that's a really good point. I personally think that, like, especially with, I've seen Death Guard help out some of our really introductory new players who have just started in the last 30 or 60 days at the battle standard, because they're playing Death Guard or they're playing Canoptic, and it does help when, 2 hits will kill one of the Horde team men. And so, and then it comes down to that positioning issue. I do actually, I thought up one other question for you, Thom, and that's, do you have any one piece of advice for a starting player, whether it be for picking a team or finding a store? What's the one piece of advice you could give to somebody who, their friend told them, hey, there's this cool kill team, you should come by and play it?
Yeah, I would say keep playing, keep going, and have fun with it. Build yourself into that community, and the other piece is, I guess it echoes what you were mentioning earlier with heads, one team over and over and over again. Then you start to see how they really function. And going back to the piece of advice would be just keep going and have fun with it and get to know people playing the game. It's something I'm looking forward to every week. Thursday, I get to go and hang out with a bunch of people, and I've even hosted a tournament now. It's really cool.
Awesome. You're absolutely right. I wasn't able to go to that, but everyone I've talked to said they had an amazing time on the lake. And when I saw Jared at the 5-star event, he was even talking it up, and that was a month after it happened. So sounds like people had a great time. Thank you again so much for talking with me tonight, Thom.
Thanks for having me.
Getting perspectives from all across New England for the Standish Standoff. Have a listen to my interview with Harry from one of the main teams.
So my name's Harry. I live in Southern Maine, Old Orchard. I usually play at Phyrexian Life Games, which is in Scarborough. It's about 20 minutes from me. For the tournament, I played with the Frying Dutchman. So myself, Justin, and Aaron. I ran Death Watch. My first kind of major tournament. I was a little like, don't want to forget my rules. Like, let's kind of, keep in time, all that stuff. Although all my games came probably well under time. But yeah, and didn't do too well. They're definitely a strong team. My performance is not a indicator that they are in need of buffs or anything like that. They definitely agree that the specialist ammunition, things like that, probably needed some changing, things like that. But yeah, I've been running Death Watch pretty consistently since they came out. The eliteness of them, I think, is quite nice. I don't think that they are as powerful as everybody says, but they are definitely a powerful team. But that's how it is with a lot of teams. This team's broken right now, and then you look at the actual stats, and it's just, they're pretty good. They're but Sanctifiers on release strong, or Goremongers on release strong.
Or even Canoptic on release before they caught the nerfs. Like, I'm not going to lie, some of the I play Canoptic, I like the team. Some of the nerfs were actually needed. Like, the multiple heals a turn, no, broken. Like, just get rid of that. I'm sorry, right? Like, there were some unfair things about that team that had to go. So, like, I agree with you. I think it is powerful when, like, Death Watch can be real powerful, but also they're a team you have to work. It's not like they just get auto wins. You have to really make the team sing for you, as it were. That's my opinion as well.
Yeah, like I was talking about this with a friend the other day, and if you take like the Watch Sergeant and put him next to like any other Space Marine leader in the game, he's probably a little bit better, with the exception of some abilities here or there, just on stat lines, everything like that. And then you know a little bit better than the Legionary champion or whatever. But when you factor in the Legionary champion's rocking up with an extra operative to his team that also has chainsword or power, whatever it might be,
power fist
makes operative selection. Yeah, there's a lot of choices there for things that operative selection is very important. There's apart from the watch sergeant, you're probably not taking every operative every game, and even the watch sergeant, there's a case to be made. Maybe you don't want him. So,
were there any games you didn't take the watch sergeant? Just out of curiosity.
I haven't really found it yet, but
haven't found it. Okay.
I've heard. I think I've like if you just want to go straight gun line and against the non-Xenos team, maybe you don't need the plasma pistol. You want to take the Blade Master, so you just have a bunch of bolt pistols that you can all shoot twice without paying the extra AP. But not many cases where you're gonna give up the free ploys, because there's 2 free CP for bringing them.
Not to mention the power sword he's carrying. Like 4/6 is great.
Yeah, lethal 5. Yeah, he's a powerful operative.
What map were you against Steven? And when you looked at the train and looked at the map, did that influence your setup at all? Like, was it because where the stronghold was in Volcus or something like that? How did that influence your thinking about the match itself?
So we played on Volcus map 4. Really, when I believe Steven won the initial roll-off to choose the sides, and I think on any Volcus map, like if one side has the sniper tower, the person who wins initiative is usually going to take that tower, which is what Steven did. So then my plan was really just I was like, I haven't really played into Mandrakes too much. I played against the famous Jesse once a while ago with my regular scouts, and it was a bloodbath. I think, it was great. It was a blast, but I think Jesse killed 7 of my scouts in one, one turning point kind of thing. And it was turn 2, and it was okay. So I was ready for some vengeance. So I'm just gonna go dominate, and kill up as my primary there, and just hopefully overpower the elves with a little bit of aggression. However, with flank and their ability to, or not flank, flank is the new recon tack up there, and the Mandrake's ability to teleport around the map as I run forward. He's able to pop into my back line, which kind of slows my charge, so I either have to double back or give up the points for flank. And since I'm going for dominate, it's if I go for the kills kind of thing. But Steven made great use of his the haunting focus and his dirge Moz ability. So he was able to just lock down a couple of my operatives and keep positions, get away from the kill.
I have to give Steve a lot of credit. I lost the last game I played against him, and his ability to use that Dirge Maw, and he uses it at the right times and in perfect situations to make you injured and lose the APL, and you just can't play around that token sometimes, and it's really it's a very powerful play. I got to give him credit for use of his team mechanics that way.
Yeah, I think in Turning Point 2, my Disruptor, I believe, got 1 or 2 kills off of a double, a shoot and a counteract. And then I was going to act, plan was Turning Point, next Turning Point, he survived all the shooting because I got the second shot or whatever it was, but I was on 2 or 3 health. And next Turning Point, I was just going to get him down to safety. And he did the haunting focus on him, or maybe it was the leaders. Either way, he did one of the abilities to lock down my guy's ability to get out of get down to safety, and then that, you know, shuts down some dominate points right there. And that was just kind of the name of the game. Like, I would run in and get some dominate points, and then Steven would come in and say, "You don't get to score those. I'm going to take those away from you by killing the guy who's holding them."
And that's the rough trade-off of dominate, because you need to keep that guy alive. He gets the kill, and then it's like, oh, but I have to escape. Like, and can I counteract around the corner or whatever it is? So yeah, no, that's the trick of it. Was there a point during like turning point 2, because you jumped right there, which is great. Was there a point where you like felt that momentum shift?
So turning point 1 was the kind of classic, just positioning, pretty quick, moving up the board, get ready for turning point 2, score some points here or there. But I would say right up until, so yeah, turning point 2 was kind of when the action popped off. My disruptor got the kills. Steven went for the vengeance, but didn't quite get it. Got him down to like 2 health or 3 health or something like that. And I was able to, I want to say, in addition to my disruptor, rack up another 3 potential, so like five total dominate points on the board going into like round 3, mid round 3, before my guys started dropping. So when we got to the end of round 3, like, I think when his last activation of round 3, he killed a guy that had the other guy that had 2 dominate tokens on him. So I was only able to score 1 dominate at the end of round 3. And then it kind of came to going into round 4. I had, if I got an initiative, like my sergeant, you know, dice be dice, but if my sergeant had, if I got an initiative, my sergeant's able to run into the room and get a double kill, and then rack up 2 dominates, and then there's no one there to kill my sergeant back. Steven gets the initiative, he runs out the door, kills my sergeant, kind of thing, which, you know, with 5 operatives, racks up the kill grade, and then my demolisher was hanging in there, chugging along with his damage reduction. I ran in, did not do great on the dice. I think I had burned my CP already for Suffer Not the Alien to Live. And
dude, that's such a good
so
ploy too.
Yeah, so good when you're playing against Xenos. So my Demolisher's hanging in there. He runs up, fights Steven's leader, and I get the crit and do my digital weapons. So that's 8 damage right there, which would have left his leader on 1 wound, and the Oubliex went off. So he was able to deny me that crit, and then turn around. I think that was like my only hit too. So like if I went he got a bunch of hits, brought me down, and then I was like, well, I could fight you again, but that's just giving you the kill because I didn't put any damage through. So if you get any hits, because like at most I'm gonna do 7 damage to you, and then you're gonna hit me and kill me. So
because you can't digital weapons again, of course, right?
Yeah. So he then wound up, I think, tabling me pretty. Was finishing off the Demolisher, and he maxed out his flank. So he maxed out his tac op and his kill op. It was still, I mean, like up until probably the middle of round 3 when he got that dropped that dude with the 2 dominate points on him, essentially, you know, bringing my dominate score in round 3 from 3 down to 1.
Yep.
I was like, oof. Well, okay, I was still in it, but it was definitely became a lot more like stuff has to start going by. Like it's definitely Steven's game to lose at that point, going into late round 3. But you know, that's how it goes. And you know, Steven's a great opponent. It was a fun game. Like all of the fights, it was, you know, like we're both like, okay, parry, push 1 hit. You know, like one of those kind of matches. So like, it was very. Felt like both teams were like, you know, kind of swinging at their full power kind of thing.
2 things you mentioned. Well, a lot of things are really good, but Steven is an amazing opponent. You know, a shout out to him for just being a great guy, being a good pilot of his team, that sort of thing. And secondly, I'm always interested in like a cinematic moment from a game, and I think you described a good one with your watch sergeant there. But is there a moment that you think from the game that was like could have been like a clip from a movie or something like that?
So, two moments. He didn't really do much himself. I think so I took the Horde Slayer, which I know is a controversial pick, but I feel like he's really good into elf profiles. Even with the mandrakes ignoring wounds, just if I'm able to put him near a stronghold and flame on anything that goes into the stronghold is just too too nice to pass up. I know the mandrakes ignore piercing, so I can't do the sneaky throw the piercing specialist ammunition on there, but do the devastating dev ones on the crits there, lethal 5. But I think so. He got a kill, and one of the other mandrake would have gotten a double kill, but the other mandrake survived by the grace of rolls.
Yep.
And then I think it just took like 3 or 4 mandrakes to take him out. So he just soaked up a lot of punishment for the rest of the team. And as my Horde player is a salamander, it's kind of like it felt thematic that he was dying protecting the rest of his team from a bunch of angry Eldar, Drukari or otherwise. But then again, later was my Demolisher running into his leader. Like I'm gonna take you out for my team, and I'm also by taking out the leader, shut down one of your flanks, there kind of thing. But nope, the Oubliette just goes off, and oh, you foul Xenos trickery, what's this? And then just. And then the mandrakes are kind of able to just we completed our contract, so
They completed the contract. Also, like, just kind of thinking of the Horde Slayer, standing with his giant gun and the 3 guys hopping from shadow to shadow overrunning him is that's cinematic, right? That could totally be a movie thing.
Yeah, if it only had like gotten him into the stronghold, it would have been a little. But he's just on the outside. Like, it was very fun. Like, it took a lot. Took a lot to take him out. The 18 wounds, even not having his fist, but still having 4 attacks. You can do a lot of parrying to stay alive.
If you were to replay the matchup again, what do you think would be your biggest change? Would you bring different operatives? Would you try to play more cagey or play for like trying to deny his tack up on flank? What do you think would be the lesson from this game?
So I think probably I would have gone plant banner and tried to deny flank. Because then I can push up, have my guys kind of maybe go for his, as opposed to trying to hold my home objective, because we were doing compiled data was the mission. So usually what I'll do there is I'll just put a guy, like one of my Marines, on the point there. So the plan, I think, was have the disruptor be able to just kind of pop up compiled data, do his disruptability after he got some kills kind of thing. So turning point 2, I was going to have him drop down to start compiling data.
Yep.
But so I think probably into Mandrakes again, I change that and do central objective and his home objective, and then do plant banner. And then I can kind of castle my guys more in his territory because I think if I can have, if I have 4 Marines in his territory and they're both on the opposite flanks, and I've got them tied up in melee, that kind of, I think, does a lot to neutralize, because that's 6 APL that he's got to put on each side.
Now that's 3 elves. That's a big difference. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that he's not threatening me as much, and if he wants to threaten me, he's got to, and deal with my banner, he's got to, not be in his flank scoring that. But that's also a perfect world.
Of course, yeah.
I'm terrible with plant banner. I've had 2 times, like 2 very memorable times where I've like gotten to the end of the game and we're scoring up the game and been like, Yep, my banner's within 5 inches of the side there, so it actually turns out that I didn't score anything on tack up, and you won the game by 1 as opposed to me winning by 5 or 6. So
yeah, that's a rough loss. I can understand that, just because like you made that mistake 3 turns ago, and you're like, oh shit, okay, oh well. Just thinking over like the team tournament, any specific memories, any shout outs you want to make for opponents, or games that you really enjoyed, anything like that?
So I mean, my first match was against our team played against the real main Italians, so the other main team, which are our regular opponents. They were great as always. It was kind of like a local event.
It was
I
just
had
another
met
night at the LGS,
Steven.
right? That was what it was.
Yeah, for round 1. Went kind of how expected, but I would say all the matches were great. Brady and Phil were terrific opponents, and honestly, like even had things gone slightly differently. I know Brady was playing a really uphill match with his scouts into my Death Watch on Tomb World,
Yep.
but things gone just slightly differently. I think you know had my marksman not walked away from that explosion, and then he doesn't have to run his sergeant up to follow up that, which then there's little things like that. I feel like even though I lost most of 3 of the 5 matches with.
I have to give you a lot of props. I played in Ironweld this past summer, and you did better than I did in my first GT, right? I went 1-4 with Nemclaw, and I won 1 game against Ratlings. It was the last game of the first day, and I drank like a Red Bull right before the game, and my opponent had less energy and was flagging, like, and I was just like, I'm gonna kill shit, yeah, Nemclaw. But so yeah, but hey man, you went 2-3, so congratulations, right? Like, it's in a way it's hard, just the mental fatigue of going that many games, and like that. So I wasn't able to go. I wanted to, and I was excited for it. What did you think about just like the team style of it, where like people chose matches and then chose maps? Because I thought that itself had its own meta game. Did you and the other Dutchmen like prepare for that? Were you ready for that sort of interplay?
So we tried to prepare for it. We didn't exactly. I don't think we. Not so much that we didn't understand it. I think that we. Well, yeah, no, we didn't understand it. We thought we were gonna have maybe a little more control over it than like it actually gave. So I think like the New Hampshire guys had. I talked to Brady about this, and they had figured out pretty much like their game plan was they figured out a way where Chaos Cults wasn't going to play on Beta Decima, whether they were like attacker or defender, and that was like their game plan. And he explained it to me like how the rocks paper scissors of it, where if they get like basically put it out like where they are selecting the match or the map if they get the choice, and then they put out chaos cults, and then the opponent gets to decide. The rocks paper scissors there, but yeah. So our plan was basically we had a similar idea to keep Raveners off of Beta Decima.
Yep.
But as the tournament went on, it was kind of just, hey, it just kind of got to the point of like, okay, we'll just, who wants this matchup, that kind of thing. But I believe it was Aaron and my first major event. So it was just, we're there to have fun, roll some dice, meet some new opponents. Not very many opportunities probably for us up here in Maine to play with guys from Connecticut and the like.
You're expanding your kill team community, and that's a really good thing. And having fun is like a big part of the game. So it's a good showing, man. Like,
yeah. I know the Blades of Cain, my first matchup, that Zach D.
Yep.
I know that he he spanks my Rattlings because he does it. Many of those 15 matches were into Zach in his Blades of Cane or Scouts.
He's a top
and
10
they
player
just-
in the world with Blades of Cane, right? Like, that's the other crazy thing. Callum's a top 10 player. Milton's a top 10 player, right? Like, we play these really ridiculously, really high-powered people. Will's a top 10 player, and, you know, the rest of us mortals in the periphery of New England just, like, get the shit kicked out of us all the time, and it is what it is.
Yeah. The it was a little. So I was like, yeah, okay. And then I
Thank you so much for coming on today. I'm gonna have to get off the call, but I really appreciate you chatting with me for 45 minutes, an hour here, and thanks for sharing your story from the team tournament. And I appreciate you. Appreciate you talking with me and sharing the time. Thank you, Harry.
Absolutely, yeah. It was great to meet you. Glad we were able to talk this out, and I just want to say thanks to Eli and Will for both TOing and organizing the event. They were both great, awesome members of the community. All my opponents were awesome, and it was a blast. I hope people come out next year. Speaking as a representative of the team that did the worst, it was still a great time. So even not doing great, we still had a blast. I've talked to Aaron and Justin, and we're probably going to sign up again, the three of us. So we hope to see you all there, and hopefully we can go for. We'll take sixth again if we have more than 6 people, but we're hoping for some improvement.
No, of course, and like it so many people followed online. Like, people were watching the BCP links, and I think that we're gonna see more teams next year, right? We'll definitely have a second team from Massachusetts. Hopefully, we'll have the team from Rhode Island, and so I think that it will become more of a community and interstate thing, right? Like, we had 18 people, and if we even have 2 more teams, we're up to 24 or 27, right? And then that's a huge deal. So.
That also, I guess, another quick shout out to, I believe it was Josh on the Discord, who was doing like the announcing as it was going on. When I got home on day 1 and I saw that, the I don't know how to describe it, but like almost like you're listening to, like, I mean, I was obviously reading it, but like an old timey like baseball thing. But then seeing the and the Flying Dutchman got a win, like, yeah, like it was just like it was very fun to get home and read that. So big shout out. I want to say it was Josh, but I'm playing. It might have been John, but big shout out to them for doing that. That was very entertaining. And I know my teammates enjoyed seeing that as well.
And so did we in the community, right? Like, it was cool just watching it unfold and being able to follow it as like a live event type deal. Absolutely, because it was, right. It's you were our current kill team select. In order to provide continuity, I did an after interview with the Connecticut team as well. Callum and Thom both showed up for our conversation. This is Kurt from KTPR doing some after coverage of the New England Team Tournament that happened a couple weekends ago. I have 2 members of the Team Connecticut with me this evening, and go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
Hi, I'm Callum. I was playing Blades Cane at the Standish Standoff and typically play out of Battle Standard in Connecticut.
Hey, this is Thom. I played the Goremongers at the tournament, and I also play at the Battle Standard in Connecticut.
Nice. Again, thank you both for coming on this evening. I'm really interested because I wasn't able to be up there, so I have to start us off. I have a couple questions about just being off the gaming table and off the pitch. How was it? Any specific memory from the community, or any specific shout out either you have from non-competitive play for just being up in there in Portland?
Yeah, it was really, really fun. It's cool to kind of go to an event at a venue like that where everybody's kind of staying there. We're having breakfast with some of the guys from the Mass team before they beat us, fun, cool. But no, it was it was cool to like see guys walking around, say hello. Everybody was the New England scene's pretty tight. We're all sort of familiar with each other anyway, so that was cool. And big shout out to Eli and Will for running the event and just running it so smoothly. It was really no hiccups, no lack of clarity on anything. I think it was really well run, and just a great time.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. I think it was very well run, and there was a lot of discussion that I saw with everyone and everyone kind of like mixing, which was neat to see. Not all of us knew each other, but a lot of us knew each other, or at least were familiar with each other's faces and things like that. But it was neat to see a lot of like intermingling of the different teams and people just talking, grabbing drinks afterwards, or having lunch or breakfast or whatever together. We all went out to dinner, which was nice.
No, I can remember that from Ironweld. It's kind of special after you play a game, going out to share a drink or have a meal with somebody and getting that camaraderie off the field. Like that's definitely great. And we in the community, we got to see that picture, and you're all now internet famous because you were all out to a Mexican dinner and we saw you. So there,
Oh yeah. Good tacos, some good margaritas.
One more non-competitive question, then we're going to dive into the action. But what do you think was the best hobby you saw? Was it a conversion or a paint job? Just sort of a shout out to the hours we spend slaving over our hobby desks.
Yeah.
I think for me, it would be the terrain itself. It's really neat to see how varied it was, how many people had, added like moss or like battle damage effects or just different colors, and it's always fun to go and see all the different styles and colors and things like that people do. It really is like very immersive at that point.
People spend some hours on that. I was in Montreal over the Thanksgiving holiday, and somebody did a whole Volcus that was full jungle with like creeping vine flock, and like it can be really impressive.
Yeah, the terrain was cool. I think I'm not 100% sure, but most of that is Will's. That's my understanding. I mean, he does a lot of terrain. I'm sure he's got the amount of terrain that guy brings all around New England. I'm sure he's got a really rote technique for getting it out in the least amount of hours possible.
Oh yeah, I have to imagine.
I think I was impressed with Phil's kind of display setup for Sanctifiers.
Yeah.
Like he's a good painter anyway. His Sanctifiers are pretty good looking, and he had them set up in like it was like kind of a collapsed cathedral.
Oh, nice
display.
Like,
which is cool. Yeah. I'm kind of the Everwinter. And have more of a look at that, but I was like, oh, that's you went all the way, man.
Was it the Clanoth terrain? Was that the nuns and Tau box from like season 2.5 or something that has like some broken church type stuff? Yeah,
I'm not sure. Almost like he 3D printed it. It was very like
nice.
Like you've seen his Hearthbroken Kinbend.
Yeah.
And that kind of has the diorama set up for them. Felt like that, like he kind of intentionally designed. I've got to ask him actually next time I see him. I'll ask him about it, or get him on and ask him about it.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see him next weekend, which is kind of crazy. So I gotta say, congratulations, guys! It is huge. You won. We had you on for the before interview, and I think it was really cool. It was Thom and Ethan, and they were both like, you know what, we're going to set the goal of winning. And Ethan was very humble about it, and he was like, you know what, and if we don't win, it will probably be my fault. But you guys did. You pulled it off. What was the magic sauce? Was there any one thing that led you to victory, or was it a lot of little things?
Yeah, I'm going to say a lot of little things, personally. I think Will kind of worked well together before every matchup, just sort of quickly realigning like what we wanted to do. So we had a plan, and then we're kind of picking the matchups by consensus.
I would agree. I think it was a lot of little things. I think it was a lot of the time that we all spent hours and hours, like, over our various, weeks that we were doing, like, games and things like that, just doing lots of game theory, thinking of, like, when would you play certain tac ops? I thank Callan a lot for even just some of the advice on, like, when I would want to do one type of tac op over another, and, like, when we stack up against different teams, how we would want to play against them, or if someone felt uncomfortable, let's say, with a particular matchup, could we at least get them the map that they wanted or the crit op that they wanted? I think we balanced each other out really well and kind of gave little snippets of advice against, the opponents, which I think really helped all of us not only to come together really well as a team, but also fall back into each other when one of us might lose, the other ones, really came through. So I think that was a big help.
So the combination of the training and before practice, Ethan running into Callum with Blades of Cain, or Thom, you running into the Plague Marines or other teams that would be too challenging, and the concerted effort of, hey, we have this matchup, how can we try to maximize our benefit and minimize our liability type deal. So that, yeah, a lot of little things.
Yeah, there's so much to consider with the team format. Makes it, really sets it apart from the individual competitions.
Yeah, there's definitely a layer of complexity where, you may have one of your teammates kind of fall on the sword a little bit and, hopefully they pull it off. Maybe they don't, maybe they do, but they give way for much better lineups for the other two teammates. And I think that's a really cool design. I hope that it's something that we can do more team tournaments or even like team doubles where you could have like two teams on the field fighting two other teams on the field. I think there's a level of play in those games and a layer of complexity that would be really interesting.
Yeah, was there one matchup that you thought was going to be specifically
got,
difficult? There we go.
The second day of our game against Vermont, that was definitely. I know I have a terrible matchup into Jaegers.
Yep.
And I also don't have a great matchup in the Sanctifiers, but I think the Sanctifiers Aquilon matchup is a lot better. And I know the Blades of Cain Goremongers matchup is a lot better for us. So we kind of worked to get that one to shake out the way we wanted.
Yeah, I would agree. We definitely had a couple of those where I think each one of us, and I think that was something that was really fun to see. I think each one of us had probably at least one game that was like, okay, this is a big one. And I think we all pulled those off. To Callum's point, we did get the matchups that we wanted for the most part.
What was what was the big one for you? Your hardest matchup, Thom?
I would say, without a doubt, for me, it was definitely Milton into Blades of Cain. He played in a way that was very unexpected for me. And in that game, I think Milton charged me once. And it was just to charge forward, do the Rain of Tears, back up, and then shoot me. And it happened once the entire game. Everything else was like basically boxing me out, locking me in my deployment zone. And I think it's the first time in which I have ever felt that I have to play very, very slow and defensive to then
it's not your
make
style.
An opening for myself with Goremongers, because it's very counterintuitive for Goremongers. And I remember a moment in my head of like, okay, just pass. Just pass the turn with these guys. Wait for turn 3. Just keep passing. Get through like almost halfway through turn 3 and then make my sacrifice move, which wound up winning me the game. Like, I appreciate the game so much that I had with Milton because I learned something very new that I've never felt that I even had to consider with that team before. So that was my big one.
And Callum, how about you? What was your big hardest game?
Toughest game. A game against Silas. With he was playing Harkin Jaegers.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Harkin Jaegers. Yeah. He knew exactly what he was doing and took all the right steps to win the game. I mean, I felt like he had that game sewn up at the end of deployment.
Did you realize it at the end of the deployment, or did you figure that out like turn 3?
Point 2, where I was just like, oh, I'm not going to be able to score enough points without losing all my guys. Yeah. And he is in a better position. And yeah, so hats off to him. It was really well played. That defensive castle he had set up, yeah, he had the mines just in the right spot. That it really kind of choked any of my movement advantages, and he had enough guys left to just clean up on the attack op turning point 4.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a tough game. That was it was tough to sit there for the last 2 turning points, being like, "Come on, man! Like, make a mistake. Just give me an opening." And he just played a really tight, considered game, and
It just never gave you one. Yeah.
Yeah, just never gave me an opening. Kept everything, just running the way he wanted it. So that was the toughest game for sure.
Was there any match that you felt like all the data and all your game theory really paid off? Like, was there going into, hey, we're gonna pick this specific team opponent and we're going to get that map, and like it all sort of coalesced and worked, like all your game theory was just perfect? Was there any match for you like that?
I mean, I would have said round 1, but we just got beaten.
Yeah. Round 1 fell apart weirdly. I mean, our playing into Will's team, we got, I think, all the matchups that we wanted, right?
Yep, and the maps.
Yeah, and the maps. That played out the way that we wanted it. I don't know, that might be the one that we had. Again, same thing for Vermont's team. We had that play out the way that we wanted. It left Callum in a rough spot, which we knew going in, because there was a big debate that Callum and I had at the bar right before that match of like, okay, do we want Goremongers into Jaegers because maybe they can break point a little bit differently, and then force the mirror match, and then, thankfully, I still think we made the right call, and mainly on Callum saying, he wanted to give it a shot, and, I think it played out obviously in our favor there.
Who was your best opponent? Who do you think was just like awesome stand-up guy, someone you'd like to play another game with, have a beer with? Who's your best opponent?
For me, even though he completely demolished me with some interesting tactics, would be Steven. Super gracious. I really like his attitude, and I had a weird setup at the very beginning where he basically got a blast on my entire team because I was out, like, we'll call it maybe an eighth of an inch, quarter of an inch at most on an angle, and I didn't even understand the way that angle played. And then he explained it to me, and Eli was nice enough also to just kind of like walk over and be like, hey, yep, that is legit. And then, I was able to come back pretty close for a while, and then there was like some weird dice stuff that happened, but even like during the match, post the match, and then even over the past couple days where I'm really considering looking into Mandrakes. I mean, he is just a scary Mandrake player, and just super overall nice guy that a smile almost never seems to leave his face. So that's fun to have when you're playing into someone that, win or lose, or like good or bad things happen, that they're just chill and nice. It makes for a very fun game.
Yeah, super shout out to Steven. He's amazing with Mandrakes and a very, very nice guy. He beat me at the Jelly Day tournament. He was my one loss, and yeah, again, happy to lose to him. Mm-hmm. He's a great dude.
Best opponent, dude, that's a tough one. I mean, everybody was great. I didn't have any back on a hard to pick a best. But I'm gonna say playing Will at the end of the first day. That was good. That was good. Like, he's you've played me a few times. I'm a quick player. He's a quick player. We were done and dusted in like an hour, and that was kind of at the end of the first day to just the game didn't drag out. I was pretty tired going into that. Just get it over and done with quickly. That was the way to go.
And a victory for you too. And I mean, Will's a stand-up hard player. Yeah, that's not easy.
She's flanked to get the win there. But no, Will. I've played Will before. He's super great opponent. And I like that when you're both know your teams and know what you're doing, and you just get through the game quickly, and there's no real contention over anything. Yeah. That was a fun game.
I'm getting better at that, getting through the games quickly, and the contention part. But I'm getting better at moving fast and getting through games quickly.
The more you play the team, but yeah, Will's crazy. He's quicker than me. He's like rolling dice before I've even got mine counted out. Yeah.
I like to sometimes think about Kill Team as a movie that we're watching, right? Like there's an objective, and at some points there can be like actual cinematic moments, like a crazy charge or a fallback, or like a sort of game pivotal moment. Was there any cinematic moments in any of your games that you think back up on, or do you just not see Kill Team the same way?
Cinematic moments, yeah.
I don't know if I had any cinematic moments for me. If I had to pick one, I mean, I definitely, like, my imagination kind of runs wild, and as you move the models around, like, I can kind of get that feeling of, like, yeah, there's laser blasters going and chainsaws revving and stuff like that. Like, I can definitely feel my imagination getting into it. But the only moment for me that was, like, pretty big and emotional was that moment where my brain went to that moment with Milton where it was like, okay, I have my leader full health. I can push him out into the open knowing he's going to get shot, but it's the only option I've got to, like, break this wall of banshees that's just sitting there like a football team. And I was like, okay, he's got a just a scratch. I can shove him behind a wall. He's going to get shot. If he lives, if I can, like, just a scratch and pull it out and force him to commit 2 guys, like, I can win this. And, like, I was shaking rolling those dice, man. And, like, I pulled it off on, like, 3 health, and it worked. And that was a moment where, like, I super appreciate even Callum, because that game ended and my adrenaline was racing, and he's like, hey, just follow me, and, like, we went out, and he's having a cigarette, and I just could feel, like, my blood pressure slowly dropping as I just, like, stood there chatting about the game.
Oh, jeez Louise. Did you have any magic moment for you, Callum, in any of the games?
I think for, like, thematic moment, my first game against Alexi, I kind of got a little overexcited. I saw the opportunity to get a double kill on 2 Deathwatch operatives. I'm like, okay, gonna do this right now.
You got greedy.
Charge a Banshee, and he's got I think the Aegis on, I want to say 9 wounds.
Yep.
And the Blade Master on 6 wounds. And they're standing next to each other in a room. I've got a Banshee outside. I'm like, okay, I'm going to charge the Banshee in. All I need is 1 crit to take down the Blade Master. And I'm going to pay the CP. I'm going to double fight. I'm going to take the Aegis as well. Got the kill on the Blade Master, which I was lucky because I forgot they can parry 1 ahead of the normal order. So I needed 2 crits. I got the 2 crits. I'm like, cool, I've taken this guy down. I took no damage. I'll fight the Aegis. And I just rolled like trash. I rolled 2 hits with Ceaseless. In fact, no, I didn't have a Ceaseless, but I'd already used my Purity Seals. And I think I used my last CP to fight again. So I rolled 2 hits. They can double parry. So I do 4 damage and then die.
Ouch.
Yep. I was like, I just needed like 1 crit on that as like a security. 1 crit would have probably got me the kill, I think, on the damage. But yeah, so that Banshee dies, which, that was okay. She killed the Deathwatch operative, but that's okay. But I got a little overexcited about that and forgot that was the turn he was going into counteraxe. And then his captain got a double kill.
Oh.
Yeah, and he was on 2 wounds. I could have taken him out with my leader for nothing, not having to roll dice. That was the moment where I was like, oh, there was the cinematic build up into like the tragedy.
That was
that was fun.
Episode 2, the Empire's winning, Hoth base is destroyed, that sort of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Back, yeah.
with a shout out to Ethan, right? Like, I remember him when we talked a month ago. He was like, you know what, my wife's looking at all this data, and I've been like really trying to study the matchups, and we're doing a lot of effort with that. So, two-part question. Number one, like, did the data really sort of did it matter, and did that sort of matchup pairing study that you did turn out? And number two, you mentioned Ethan carried the team, and he did have a spectacular win against Zach from Maine, who's like a really decent player. So, I don't know, Callum, if you had any highlights from that game that you can talk about as captain, if you saw any of it. But those two things, let's just give a shout out to Ethan.
No, for his recounting, so Ethan and I play a lot, so he's pretty familiar with how Blaze Cane work, and I don't think Zach has played into Aquilons very often. And that's definitely a matchup where you need to be aware of how to counter the Aquilons, or they will just melt your team turning point too.
Any final comments from the team tournament? Anything, shout outs you want to give? Any highlights? Anything that was just like a special moment to you? You want to share with the community?
I personally would like to just give a big shout out to Callum for, bringing us together as a team and, inviting me in the first place, and, all the fun games that we have every week. Like, he's one of my favorite people to play, and that's always been great. So, again, thank you for letting me be part of that experience.
Of course, man. No, thank you. Obligatory shout out back to my teammates, but no, I think we played really well as a team. We worked really well as a team. And then just big shout out to everybody at the event. It was super fun. I'm excited to do it again next year.
I'm excited to do it next year.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Hopefully, since we won in Connecticut, maybe we can host it down here.
Oh,
I think
like the venue moves with the trophy. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
8 teams next year. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I think the round robin worked out really well, but yeah, the more the better.
More the merrier.
Or like teams of 4. I know a lot of people were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, teams of 4. That way, the attacker-defender thing is not so skewed to defender.
True, because they get 2 picks versus 1. Yeah.
And they get to pick the map twice.
Yeah, they get to pick the maps back-to-back, basically.
Yeah, that is interesting. I've never played in the team format itself. What did you find like novel about it? Just because of like, I'm just curious. You both seem to like the format, so
making decisions before you even sit down to introduce yourself to your opponent. That's completely different, right? You're always, any tournament you're told like what map you're playing on, what the crit up's going to be, and in the team format you're choosing that, and trying to choose your opponent as well. So you have a lot more agency over how the game's set up, and that was interesting aspect. That really is what adds the depth for it.
I would agree 100%. That's really what does it.
Yeah. Picking the map is the advantage, I think. I think that, being a defender and being able to pick the map, that's a little bit stronger than being able to directly pick the matchup.
Yeah, I think it was, you only want to be attacker when you absolutely need to force or prevent a matchup, I think is
prevent a matchup. Attacker.
Yeah.
Oh, because you can block like, we know that we don't want Sanctifiers to play into Raveners or whatever, right? Like,
so then you would throw the one team that you want to make sure that they don't get the bad matchup, or like the one super bad matchup. So then you could throw that one team first if you're the attacker, and they get to pick who they want, and they can obviously pick the not catastrophic matchup.
Right. Makes sense.
So like you have a slight advantage there with that piece alone, but then the defender gets way more advantages as a whole.
Again, because they're picking map twice, right? They get 2 actions basically. That makes sense.
Picking map twice.
Yeah, they're picking the map, and then they're also picking the 2 matchups essentially after that, because one falls by default.
Right, because it's the last one. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Our only
so
3.
when they put up their 2, they kind of get a decision on what the last matchup is going to be, more than the initial attacker did.
Makes sense.
Pushing the Aquilon Sanctifier up as well. That was
that was a big one. Ethan coming through on that, and I know that it was a close game. I remember finishing mine and walking over, and they were like neck and neck. I think it was a point apart for quite some time. I don't know exactly how it turned out in the end, but as far as points to points, but it was very close.
I'll tell you now.
I'm finding that just in general, games are a lot closer. Like we've talked about that with the new TAC ops. They're just harder to score. Like I played a game the other day on Tabletop Simulator, and it was against somebody who had the second or third time playing the team they played, and I thought I had it totally sewn up and I was good to go, and then suddenly it came out tied in the end. I was like, whoa, okay, yeah, I thought I won that, but tie game, it's all good. And it was like 13-13 or 14-14, something like that. Like it wasn't like super high scoring game, so it happens.
Yeah, it does seem like the kind of like these almost stalemates, or kind of like things grind to a slow point now with some of the ops versus what they used to be. There used to be like these big blowouts, and I'm seeing the big blowouts less and less. And that could be because people are just, as a community, we're all getting better. But I think it's also, there was definitely a big shift when the ops came out.
Yeah, the new TAC ops are harder to score, and harder to score consistently.
I also think the big blowouts we're seeing will happen when it's a really bad rock, paper, scissors for the teams, or you have a higher versus lower skilled opponent, right? Like, because I've talked with Tucker about, just those onion layers of gaining skill in the team. You have to learn your rules, you have to learn the game system, you have to learn how your team interacts with other teams, right? There's a lot of different layers to Kill Team itself, so.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, thank you so much both for being here this evening. I really appreciate you coming on KTPR, and a huge shout out to Will and Brady and Callum, of course, and all the other team captains. Milton, I'm missing one, but Justin, I believe, was the Dutchman team captain. And thank you both. Hope to see you next year at the team tournament. And this is Kurt from KTPR reporting from the trenches.
He's out.
Today's tactics time comes directly from the sneak peek that appeared a couple days ago. This is a way the Goremongers player can just steal points from other operatives. Welcome to today's tactics time. We are looking at a particularly nasty maneuver that an impaler can perform from the Goremongers team. Right now we're looking at a way that the Goremonger player can just steal victory points right out from under basically anyone. In this scenario, we have a Death Watch Aegis hanging out here on an objective point, and also controlling the plant banner objective, currently scoring himself 1 to command the objective and 2 more for controlling his objective. What we're going to do is have a very sneaky activation by the Goremonger Impaler here. He's going to make sure he can clear that door and get within 2 inches of the Aegis. Very important to this maneuver. Goremonger will move in. In order for this maneuver to be maximally effective, the Goremonger player is going to have to burn 1 sanguine token for rage and increase his attack dice to 5. Using the wrist chain's equipment, he will then attack with the Flesh Skewer ranged profile, which is 4 dice hitting on 3s, 4 or 5 damage, but specifically has this drag ability. So here we go. Wish the dice luck. Remember, the Aegis does save on 2s, so maintaining 4 attack die is very important here. Oh, we will have to burn a command point reroll. And there we go. Got 2 crits and 2 hits. We've minimum of 1 hit will go through, even with the Aegis saving on 2s, which is quite spectacular. but the Aegis did save all 3 of those, so the 1 hit was necessary. Due to the wonderful drag technique, this Impaler forces his 1 hit through and will now drag the Aegis minimum of 2 inches back. And that really ruins the Aegis' player's day. He's no longer connected to the objective or controlling his plant beacon marker. This one operative has effectively taken 3 victory points away from the Deathwatch player. Top tip, if you play Goremongers, drag your opponents off objectives. Thank you for tuning into Tactics Time. For KTPR, this is Kurt reporting from the trenches. Thank you again for listening to episode 3 of Kill Team Public Radio, the Standish Standoff team tournament that occurred in Portland. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment, as we are really trying to grow the channel. Myself and Milton will continue to bring you interviews, news, hobby, and all sorts of Kill Team goodies from across the New England area and beyond. Episode 4 will feature the Everwinter tournament that happened in the beginning of October. This was a great convention in downtown Boston, and we look forward to seeing you next time. For Kill Team Public Radio, this is Kurt reporting from the trenches.